Hi guys, welcome to Heather's Treasures. We're going to do some coils and turn them into accent beads, basic accent beads. I had a request from one of my viewers. Thank you so much. And there are 3 ways you can make the coils. You can do it the manual way, where you take your wire, just start coiling it like this, and then you would slide them off, and you get like 2 or 3 inches. Then you'd slide them off, and then we'll snip it later. So if you're all about accuracy and speed, learn how to do it the manual way first until you're really proficient at it. The next way is using a gizmo. One end attaches to your desk and the other end attaches to your desk. Here's how it works. Pretend that this isn't there. You put one of the assorted sizes of rods in here and you tighten it up. You put a wire in there and then you run it through these holes here so that when it is attached to your desk, it's all nice and stable. And then when you have the wire stuck in there, you would start coiling it, and you're going to be holding the wire down here like this. And I'll show you in the next method. Another way you can use this gizmo, it doesn't come with this attachment, is I took a swivel for fishing. I'm going to cut this wire off so that you can see what it is. What I would do is I would attach the wire here, a core wire, like a 20 gauge. And then I would wrap it around here and then create some tension. And then I would put the weaving wire on, which would probably be 26. Stick it in there, tighten this up, and then coil it around my core wire that I made. The rods that come with this gizmo are only certain sizes. And I used to have, I think, 5. And I've lost 2 of them. You would think that it would be hard to lose these. But anyways, the smallest one I've got right now is for a 14 gauge. So the core wire would be a 14 gauge wire. So this is the one I'm going to use. I am not going to use the gizmo because you have to hand crank. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to put that away, and I'm going to use this 14 gauge. Now let's talk about core wires. If you're doing a chaos weave, such as this, this one is like an 18 gauge wire. And if I'm wrapping little things on and I'm going to add some accent coils, the only thing that I'm going to be concerned about is, will my end coil fit over the wire that I'm wrapping with? So let's say I've got a 22 gauge wire. Then I would take a piece of 20 gauge wire and wrap my coils around that. And that way then when I pull it off that 20 gauge wire, it'll easily fit on the 22 gauge wires. Does that make sense? So here's my last and final. I'm going to get out my trusty drill. So I'm going to put this 14 gauge wire in here, or 14 gauge rod, excuse me. It's not a wire, this is a rod. Okay, I'm using just 18 inches of 26 gauge wire. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this up just a tidge, and I'm going to put a bend in this so that I can fit it in, and it'll get trapped by, whoops, going the wrong way. It'll get trapped by one of these grippers. Okay? Now I gotta make sure that this is going the right way. Nope, turn around. So now I'm going to have my wire hanging out, and I am just going to securely grip it. I am not going to hold onto it with a death grip. I'm just going to hold it as a guide. I've got it between my thumb and my finger, and I am going to slowly pull the power button. And what I'm doing is I'm guiding it up against the wire that is previously coiled on there. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm going to give it a push. I'm just going to cut off this excess wire here. And we're going to set that right there. All right, now let's get a little bit fancier. Let's take a 26 gauge gold wire. And here is a silver wire. We're going to do the same thing. These are 18 inches. We're going to fold this in half. Doesn't have to be pretty. We're going to stick these in here. And we're going to tighten it back up. All right, now, on this, you want to make sure that one wire stays, like if you're going to have silver wire on the right, you want to make sure that it stays on the right. So you're going to go really slow here. Come on. Okay, I'm going to stop and pinch. Push that down. Now I can hold them closer together. My silver wire got a little out of hand there. There you go. Alright, so now we loosen this up and we pull the wires out. And we're going to cut off the excess wires. Oh, my wires came apart there. I don't want them to. Okay, now I've got a gold and silver. You can barely see that. Ah, get back in there, little animal. All right, we can fix that later. So now we've got all solid gold, and now we've got a gold and silver. Let's really step it up. I've got colored wire here. These are all 26 gauge. That's one thing you want. I mean, you are most certainly welcome to do different size core wires. You're just going to have a different look. And some wires may not even work if you go too different in sizes. I mean, too much difference. Like if you do like a 28 gauge and then a 20 gauge, you might have a hard time keeping that coiled. But you're most certainly welcome to try. All right, I've got a lime, magenta, and sapphire. This is all zebra wire. This is all 26 gauge. I'm going to bring this back in. Can you see? My magenta wire got a little ahead of me. Okay, so we'll just take these off and we're done with the drill. And we're just going to pretend that that is perfect. It's not, but we're going to pretend. You know, so now I've got a single wire, which was almost 1 inch at using 18 inches of wire. You can go 3 yards, 6 yards, and you know, however long the rod that you're using or cord that you're using will hold. So now what you're going to do is you're going to decide how wide, how long do I want my coils to be? And I really don't measure. I just go in, find a spot where my cutters will go, and I'm just holding it. And then on the other side, with this being open like that, I'm going to go ahead and clip those. And I might want something a little longer, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to separate the wires. Give that a clip. That one is about a 1/2 inch. That's probably as long as I would go. when you're cutting, see how they poke out? Normally, if you're just cutting one wire, it's really, whoop, it's nice and smooth. See how there's no, it doesn't flare out. When you're cutting multiple wires, they do flare out. So you want to go back and catch that. That's one important thing. You want to make sure that you don't have anything sticking out, because these can twist on your weave when you're wrapping. God forbid somebody's wearing this with a silk and it catches the silk. That would be horrible. So in a matter of 23 minutes and 31 seconds of me explaining and talking and making this video, we have a beautiful assortment of coils. What I normally do when I make up a bunch of these, I just put them in like a little dish. And then when I have an assortment, or all one kind, it doesn't matter, whatever your preference is, then you have them all set to go. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I really appreciate you coming in, stopping and visiting. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing. I really appreciate that. It's a real blessing to me. So until next time, love you. Bye-bye.